business ethics and why they are very important in today's times, because we are living in a world which is changing very fast, where we are moving towards from collectivism to individualism. And when that starts setting in, we tend to take decisions in our personal favor rather than long term decisions in the favor of the community. And the latter is what we really need for us to flourish as a community. And that's why business ethics are very important in current times. So, in the book, you will find a lot of empirical evidence as well as a lot of case studies on how this is the way to make profits. It is not a question of whether business ethics will help me in making profits or not. We are arguing in the book that this is the only way to make profits in the long run.
Welcome to the Vibrant Publishers podcast. Today we have the pleasure of hosting our esteemed author Ritika Mahajan. Her latest book, Business Ethics, is going to be out soon, so stay tuned. Ritika is an assistant professor at Department of Management Studies at MNIT Jaipur. She completed her PhD from IIT Roorkee. She's also an EU expert on curriculum development for United Nations Switch Asia program and a consultant to the Ministry of MSMEs, Center for Research in Sustainable Practices, and Slow Ventures Private Limited. In today's podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of business ethics. We'll discuss a few key concepts on ethical business practices. We'll explore Ritika's journey in writing this book and uncover what readers can expect from this insightful work. So let's jump right in and welcome to the podcast, Ritika.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So let's begin by talking a little bit about the book. What inspired you to write a book on business ethics?
Right. So I have spent almost 10 years in teaching business management students by now.
Mhm.
And there is a very strange thing which can be observed in the curriculum of business schools across the world, which is that all the subjects are taught in different semesters, and then comes the business ethics course. So it is not taught as something that is integrated into every course, but something that is um, looked at as a different course.
Okay.
This differentiation made me feel that we need to simplify what business ethics mean, and also create content which people across domains can easily identify with. That was one of the main motivation for writing this book. Another thing is that business ethics seems like a very abstract and a very prescriptive domain, where you don't follow what is right, but you tell others what is right, and you expect them to do it, but you may not be doing what is right. So the book also deals with that dilemma of what is right and what is wrong, and how can you become very successful in business by following ethics and not by looking at ethics as a burden to your business organization. So my motivation comes both from my academic experience as well as my intention to present to the students as well as to the other stakeholders content which can make it easy for them to believe that ethics can be helpful in running business organizations.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, let's start with definitions. If you could give the audience the definition of what is business ethics and why is it so important in these times?
Right. So rather than complicating the meaning or giving a very elaborate definition. I believe in making it very simple and specific. So if one has to make a decision, um, whether to go with an option A or with an option B, ethics will be those defined guidelines which will help you to make that choice. These ethics will be derived from where will be derived from a lot of um, cultural things. They will also be a part of where you come from. They will be part of the sector where you are, part of the philosophy you subscribe to. So ethics are those guidelines which help you to decide what is right and what is wrong. But then uh, everything is from a lens of a perspective. So what is seeming right from one perspective may start seeming wrong from other perspective. So that clarity also one has to accept when talking about business ethics. In specifically in a business context, any decision that you're making in your business organizations, you have to be driven by core values, and those core values will frame the will lead to the framing of ethical guidelines in your organization. So that's business ethics, and why they are very important in today's times, because we are living in a world which is changing very fast, where we are moving towards from collectivism to individualism. And when that starts setting in, we tend to take decisions in our personal favor rather than long term decisions in the favor of the community. And the latter is what we really need for us to flourish as a community. And that's why business ethics are very important in current times.
Understood. So, for better understanding, if you could give a few real world case studies or examples that you've mentioned in your book, if you could share that.
Right. Okay, let us talk about a very specific business example. For instance, I invest in labeling my product, and making a you cannot probably make a completely clean product, but you can make a better product, and you can make it in such a way that there is transparency, and the customer is understanding that okay, this is what the product contains. So you make an attempt to create a better product, and the customer also understands that okay, I have clear information. I am not being fooled by saying that this is green or this is natural. I am being told that this is what it contains. Now it is upon me whether I want to buy it or not. So ethical does not mean that you do away with everything you're doing right now suddenly. It is about making better decisions in running an organization, taking into account the interest of diverse stakeholders. And these diverse stakeholders will always be fighting for their share of pie. So your job as a business manager or as an entrepreneur is how to balance out these demands from all the people. So ethical labeling is one very important area which could be looked at from a business ethics point of view. Another point of view is that when you are establishing your plant in a particular community, you must look after the community that you are displacing or you are creating a negative impact on. Today, they might not be in a position to say anything, but that shouldn't be your parameter of running a business organization. In the long term, the community where you are, uh, you know, taking resources from, that should also flourish. You should also flourish as a business organization. So you have to keep the society with you when you're running a business organization. These are two examples that really make a lot of sense to me. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. But another question arises from a point of view of businesses. Uh, while maintaining these ethical practices, uh, what about profitability of businesses? Does that take a hit?
Right. So in the book, you will find a lot of empirical evidence as well as a lot of case studies on how this is the way to make profits. It is not a question of whether business ethics will help me in making profits or not. We are arguing in the book that this is the only way to make profits in the long run. Because in the long run, nobody is going to be there in your support if you don't take care of your employees, if you don't pay them well, if you don't treat them well, don't take care of their wellness, if you don't take care of the society that you are surviving in, if you are not good to your suppliers, all of these people that are supporting you to run your business organization known as the stakeholders, they are going to be there with you if they know that you are a genuine organization. So there is evidence written by economists globally, as well as there are a lot of researchers which prove it, and you will find all those examples and evidence in the book, which says that it's not about whether ethics will lead you to profitability or not. This is the only way to lead to profitability in the long run. Yes, in the short run it doesn't really work, because short run is all about making money and showing it up in your balance sheet, because you will need some investment for that money to come back to you.
Got it. And what are some of the ethical challenges that businesses can face?
Ethical challenges are that it's always one is that the dilemmas are too many, so everybody has to be on board. It is usually driven by the leadership. There is a chapter in the book which talks about corporate governance and leadership, and in that I have tried to propose frameworks for business organizations which they can use to institutionalize ethical decision making in them. But without a framework, without an understanding which everybody understands, without a common ground which everybody in your organization understands, it's very difficult to implement it. And second is that competition is also very fierce, so one needs that patience as an entrepreneur to believe in themselves and feel that okay, I'm not going to um, go into the corrupt practices just because my competitor is doing so. You need that wisdom, that patience, and that self control to be able to run an ethical business organization. So these challenges, and there is always this intention to do it fast. So if you shift to a short term logic, then again there is no way out. You have to give in time to bring the money back to your organization. So these are some of the major challenges. So they translate into capacity building, peer pressure when your competitors are doing things, and leadership challenges, that as a leader what should you go with when you have so many people to please. Yeah.
Understood. Now, one of the popular terms in this field is CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. Uh, what role do you think CSR plays in the long-term success of a company? And if you could give a quick meaning of CSR as well.
Right. So there is a chapter on corporate social responsibility in the book. It covers the historical evolution of the concept of CSR, different definitions of CSR, and it talks about a very famous framework, which is Carroll's pyramid, and it summarizes that different authors have looked at CSR through a different angle. But primarily, when we talk about corporate social responsibility, we are talking about a philanthropic or charitable role that corporate organizations play. So that means that after you've made money, now you devote a certain percentage of that money to your stakeholders, giving back to the community. So that's essentially what corporate social responsibility is, and I've explained how different authors have explained it in their respective papers and fields. But the value is immense in the sense that corporate sector does undertake very massive charitable programs and which have impacts on lives of people across the globe, and they primarily invest in sectors like health, education, poverty elevation, women empowerment, and things like that. So CSR has its role, but we also need to understand that we also need to hold companies accountable for how they are making money and not just contributing a part of the profits after they've made the money. So CSR is impactful, is important, but it's not only about CSR. Ethics is a much broader terminology.
Understood. Now you see that huge companies, they have their CSR programs. Uh, there are ethical regulations that they have to follow. Everything is in place when it comes to big organizations. Uh, but when it comes to small businesses, how do you think they can follow these ethical practices and take care of that? What is the role of a leader in that case?
Yeah. So honestly, in case of a small organization, it's primarily leader driven. An entrepreneur who's the person behind that particular organization is the one who can drive that organization towards option A or can ask all the employees to move towards option B. So a lot depends on who is the person or who's the team behind that small organization. Having said that, in my experience in meeting SME owners, MSME owners from various countries, I have felt that they are not very familiar with the jargons and with the slogans like CSR, like sustainability, but they are doing their bit in their own way. Many of them have their very strong core values, which they never compromise with. For example, the employees in some of these MSMEs work. They work throughout their life in those organizations, so there is something that is probably driving them to be with them when they can shift to any other organizations. Whereas if you look at the MNCs, the attrition rate, for example, in the IT sector is too high and people shift jobs. Why people are staying back in the MSMEs? It means that there are certain core values which these leaders bring into the organization, and that's what is ethics. So they are not no, very few case studies are being written on them, but they follow their own principles to be ethical, and I think many of them are doing a great job. Especially for example, from a sustainability point of view, a lot of SMEs come together and invest in, let's say, a wastewater treatment plant because they don't want to spoil the water in that particular area. So they do think about it, but I think they probably need a little more awareness and little more hand holding from established players so that they can also pick up all the skills that are required to run an ethical organization.
And is that happening? Like, are there collaborations between?
Yes. There are cases. There are parks. There are cases of organizations which are where these where the circular economy principles are being used, where the leftover or the residual of one company becomes the raw material of another company. But the only thing is that their locations have to be such that they are located in near to each other. And I know of a textile community which has come together and invested in a wastewater treatment plant, because alone for the SME owner it is not possible to invest in it, but together they can do it. And a lot of examples exist where companies which are small and medium enterprises are coming together to deal with sustainability challenges.
Got it. So, as you had mentioned, there are a lot of benefits to having a long-term sustainability plan and following business ethics. One of them being an example you gave is the lower attrition rates. What are some of the other benefits that companies can see? Because it's not just the fear of government that should be motivating the companies, but if you could mention a few other examples or points.
Yeah. So we could look at the benefits from all stakeholders' point of view. Uh,
Hmm.
Everyone would want to work in an ethical organization. So from an employee point of view, definitely you get a leverage there. Then from a supplier point of view, the kind of terms and conditions you have with your supplier really affect the flow of funds within your company. And if the supplier is sure that, this company is an ethical company, I would get my dues, the company is not investing into anything which is unethical, the suppliers would also want to give you very lucrative terms and conditions. Then third, the government also believes in utilizing your skills to do something better for the society. So you kind of become an ally to the government rather than fear being fearful of the government, or being critical of what the government is doing, or the government being critical of you. So if you do that, none of the stakeholders are working in silos. Other than that, your consumers, if the level at which the consumer awareness is increasing, and especially in the age of social media, if something goes wrong with a product, it goes viral very quickly. So you have to build that trust. It takes years to build customer loyalty, it takes years to build brand love, brand affinity. And if you are not ethical, all of that is going to go away very quickly, because information is flowing very, very fast. So you have to do it. You have to believe in ethics, that ethics are going to drive you towards success, because then everybody is going to support you in that journey.
Correct. Now I'd like to shift a little bit towards the career side. Uh, what if someone wants to build a career in this field? What does that look like?
Okay, so if you would, if when the readers get access to the book, I have divided the book into different parts. The first part deals with the meaning of ethics, philosophy of ethics, theories of ethics. That part I think is useful to every person who is intending to join business and management field. Then the second part of the book is related to corporate governance, CSR, and sustainability. So that part is going to be useful for people who are trying to build a career in the area of CSR or sustainability. So you could become a CSR manager, you could become a sustainability analyst, you could be hired as a sustainability officer. Then there is an ESG officer, there is a sustainability compliance officer. So the middle part of the book gives you access to understanding that there are different domains waiting out for you. Even if you have done a conventional MBA degree or a BBA degree, uh, this path is open to you. And the last part of the book, I've talked about specific functional areas. So whether you go into the HR domain, or the marketing domain, or the finance domain, there are specific case studies related to each of these domains. So career wise, even a generalist can find it useful. The people from HR, finance, marketing will find very hands on cases. And the middle part of the book is for those interested specifically in corporate social responsibility and sustainability domain. It's an upcoming field, and with the kind of uh, financial investments that are going into this field, investors today ask for your ESG report when they are trying to invest in your product. So there is a pressure from the investors. Second,
Hmm.
there is a pressure from the government, because the government is making mandatory guidelines for firms to report their social and environmental impacts. So the government is pressurizing, the investor is pressurizing, and consumers are also becoming aware because they are demanding better products. Now, when so much pressure exists, then the firms automatically have to devote themselves to sustainability. And that's where the role of people who understand ethics, CSR, and related concepts becomes very important. So the future is very bright for this area, but one has to really have those skills to be able to perform well in this area. And this book could serve as a guide to understanding the overall landscape.
Understood. Now let's shift the topic to climate change. Uh, and I would like to understand a little bit about your opinion, or rather your view on the current status of climate change, and what do you think are the economic or operational challenges currently that businesses are facing due to climate change, and is there any specific industry that is or that will be affected the most?
Okay, so there is still a debate on, whether the climate is changing or not changing, or is it
Mm,
natural or is it man-made. I think that the debate, I don't want to add on one more viewpoint to the debate, but what really makes an impact is to look at what's locally happening around us. So if locally you are able to see the impact of climate change, for example, I did a project on street vendors, and we realized that the street vendors are not able to sit in the streets for prolonged periods of time because the heat waves have become so intensive.
mm,
So the vulnerable and the marginalized communities are definitely affected by climate change. We have prolonged monsoons in certain parts of the world. We have natural calamities occurring faster as compared to what they did few decades back. So all of these visible changes should be evidence enough for us to behave ethically. So I think we don't need any more evidence or data on whether this exists or not, because we are noticing changes in our local communities. We should be doing something about it. So climate change needs attention and it needs action.
okay, got it. And my next question was about specific industries that
Okay.
you think that they might be affected the most.
A lot of industries. I think everybody is going to be affected by it, but for that matter, transportation is a major source of carbon emissions, right? And if we
Mm-hmm.
need to control carbon emissions, we need to look at how our transportation industry is emitting. And transportation industry has ripple effects on so many other industries, right? So every industry, so for example, an industry like banking, one would feel that, why banking would be affected by climate change.
Mm.
But then where do the funds come from? So the economy works in a very, very integrated manner, and if one industry gets affected, every industry gets affected. But then there is this viewpoint that we need to first look at the most polluting industries in the world. So, or from a sustainability lens, the most difficult industries to deal with, like mining, oil and gas, even textiles. So the controls are becoming harsh on these particular industries, and because they contribute a lot to the negative externalities. So because they contribute, then probably the solutions are also going to come from these specific industries.
Okay, got it. Now, if you could share a few real-world examples of some businesses that you've seen that have, had strong ethical considerations while operating.
Okay, so I'll talk about two examples, and these are global examples. Everybody knows about them. So one is the example of a company which is widely known in the field of ethics, which is Patagonia, which is into making durable jackets and sportswear, and they are popularly known for a campaign which they had run called "Don't Buy My Jacket," and the campaign became so successful that a lot of people ended up buying their jackets. That's another story, but the intention to tell people that it is not necessary to buy a lot of stuff to look good or to be to wear a good brand. So they started propagating what we today call slow fashion, and their structure has also changed in recent times, and they are known as a company which really goes by ethics. So that's one company. Another company which comes from India is the Tata sector, Tata group, which has its presence over different countries and over various sectors, including IT, including FMCG, automobiles, then finance, steel, etc. But they are also known for the value systems which they have followed. And one of the things that they do is to adopt a business excellence model, in which they have everything detailed out in terms of KPIs and KRAs, and they integrate ethics into that business model. So that's really so what is driving them is very ethical. In even on paper, it's very ethical.
Got it. Interesting examples. Do you think this is more of a marketing tactic that Patagonia had in mind, or do you think that comes because of its principles?
I don't think it is a marketing tactic, because um, marketing tactics, if you adopt, there are only one or two instances. But if
Hmm.
there are so many stories out there on social media, if the founder lives a certain kind of a life, if it does things consistently over a period of time, then it cannot be a marketing tactic. So the way to identify a company which is either using it as a marketing tactic or a PR move is to see whether it's a one time advertisement or one time contribution by the company. If it is that, then there is a chance that it could be just for attracting attention. But if the companies are consistently following what they should follow, then it's not marketing tactic.
Yeah, understood. Interesting point, because there have been several companies that have been doing it just because of the sheep mentality or because everyone's doing. But yeah, that's one good way of finding out whether it's, and then during this times, the way to become to have strong business ethics is not to fake it, but to genuinely build a culture around it. You just can't fake it these days.
Yes, also I think another way to identify is that when a company suddenly takes a stand, you
Okay.
know, that they are not concerned about it through any of their programs, but now suddenly they start go out and support, let's say, the LGBTQ community, but they have got nothing to do with it even before or after that, which is a signal that they are trying to gain attention through that particular effort.
Okay, got it. Now, I'd like to ask my last question to you. What do you see as the future in business ethics?
I am a very hopeful academician, so I genuinely believe that we are all good people, and I believe that biology creates us as good human beings. If we are deviating from being good, we are deviating from our by default nature. So I feel that there are certain market corrections needed, and they will happen in terms of what we have done to our planet. But I'm very hopeful about where the next generation will take the business organizations toward, because the next generations are quite aware, and they know what their rights are, and they're very assertive also in what they want. So I feel the future is bright, and we'll move towards better and ethical organizations in the times to come.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ritika, for joining us today on the podcast and sharing your insights. It was wonderful talking to you, learned a lot, and to the audience, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you,
was my
Ritika, once
pleasure.
again.
Thank you so
Uh,
much. Thank you. My pleasure.